The offensive line played against Indiana State.
I think we played decent. I think we definitely could have played a little bit better. I know that they brought some pressure, and we had been looking over it all week. And sometimes they just put too many guys in the box that we can block. So, but I think overall we did well. And for our first time seeing a lot of movement, I think we handled it pretty well.
Do you feel like you played better at right tackle than left tackle?
Not really. It's about even with me. I think I can really play about anywhere on the offensive line. So I'm not gonna say I played better at one spot than I did the other. I just think I'm gonna settle in, hopefully settle in at one spot, and be ready to help the team win no matter what.
And what typifies the Florida defensive line? I know you played against them several times.
Mm-hmm.
What are their characteristics?
I'd say their top two characteristics is they're fast and physical. So all of them can run. All of them love to hit. Really, with their whole front seven, they're physical players. They're fast, and so we got to raise our physicality up a notch.
Having beaten Florida,
raise the physicality up, because Coach Jones said that you guys need to be more. The whole team needs to be more physical. What is that? Is that fundamental? Is that effort? Is that just fatigue from 2 games in a week? And what do you explain? Maybe not being as physical as you need to be on Saturday.
I think physicality starts with technique first. So if you have bad technique, it's going to be hard for you to be physical. So we're going to come back this week, work on our technique. I think hand violence is a huge thing with the offensive line. Staying on the second level, getting on backers and not just punching them and falling off, but staying on them and finishing blocks. But physicality, I think, all starts with technique.
What are some of your memories from last year's win and just to come back, and how important was that, as a veteran now, as a senior, to kind of continue beating Florida as important it is for this program?
Obviously we think about Jawan's catch. I actually got beat on that play, so I had to let Dobbs get hit on that play. So I don't like to think about that play very much, but Malone running like he was running a 4-2 out there when he scored that touchdown. Obviously a huge comeback, and now that's my first time beating him, so it's like I've been there before, and I feel like the younger players can lean on me. A bunch of us who were here last year, we've been there before. We know what it takes to beat Florida, and just hopefully try to find that same recipe for Saturday.
do you think that's changed the dynamic of the rivalry, that you don't have to be spending this week talking about the streak or anything like that? It's getting more confidence in that regard.
Yeah, I guess so. We didn't really talk about the streak much anyways. Every game's just a week of its own, and we don't think about, they've beaten us however many times, 11 or whatever it was last year. We just go out there every week and we try to beat our opponent, so we don't really care about the streaks or anything.
Brett, I'm sure you grew up watching this rivalry. What memories do you have as a kid during Florida Week?
I just remember everybody, growing up around here. I feel like everybody around here is a little more angry all week at Florida Week. I don't think very many people around here like those teams, and I had some friends that were Florida fans, and so try to stay away from them during Florida Week. But it's a great rivalry in college football overall, and it's a fun game to play in.
How did Drew play in his first game? How did he grade out?
I think he played well. Obviously, it's huge to get somebody like Drew Richmond back. He's an older guy. He's been here, and anytime you can gain experience like that and get him back, it was huge for us.
You guys ran a lot of read option with Josh Dobbs as your quarterback. How different is this offensive approach, having a quarterback that's not as much of a runner as Dobbs was?
It's a little bit different, but I think Q kept a couple against. I know he kept a couple against Georgia Tech, and we gave him a hard time about it because I think he busted out of there for like 5 or 6 yards. But it's a little different. But I think Quinn's done a great job, and I think Jarrett did a great job on Saturday as well.
You mentioned Indiana State moving around a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Florida doesn't move around that much, do they?
I don't think so. And they could change it up and blitz every play, I guess. But I think Florida kind of knows what they have in their defense. They play their gaps, and like I said earlier, they play physical. So sometimes when you got like the manpower like Florida has, you don't really need to move around that much.
Brett, is there an awareness yet for Team 121 about the legacy when we talk about what each senior class did, and obviously Dobbs Group, those guys were able to elevate the program top 25. Now the ball's kind of in your court to advance. What would it mean to get that first win at the Swamp for Tennessee since, gosh, I guess 2003? Are people aware that it's been that long since Tennessee's won there?
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that since you just until you just said that, but obviously it would be huge. You know, I guess my sophomore year, we had that 13-point lead and ended up not getting it done, and so that still has a bad taste in my mouth. And you know, the other guys that were here, Ethan and all them, I think we still feel like we have a lot to prove going back down there. So obviously it would be huge for our senior class to get that win down there.
Brett, what did you see from the other running backs behind John?
I thought Carlin Fields and me had a great game. He had a long touchdown run, like 30 yards or so, and then he actually had 2 touchdowns. And then obviously Ty on the kick return. I think it was a good game for them to kind of settle in, and but I think we're going to see a lot of JK this week too.
Brett, what have you learned most about this offense through 2 games? What have you learned about you guys?
You know, I've learned that we're a physical group. I think we're pretty physical. You know, I'm impressed with what Quentin's done. I think he's had a good first 2 games. I think we take care of the ball for the most part pretty well. Took care of it well against Georgia Tech and kind of took a step back, I guess, against Indiana State. But, you know, I think we protect the ball, and I think when it comes down to it, I think we love to run the ball.
I think Quentin's steadiness and just kind of command is going to give you guys, or help you guys going into a hostile environment this weekend.
Yeah, I do, and he's always been real calm, and I think he's done a great job so far. He's got a great command of the offense. He's an older guy. He's been here for long enough. He knows what it takes to win. He follows exactly what Dobbs was doing last year, and it's kind of good to have that calm, steady presence at quarterback.
2 more questions.
How much juice does a guy like John Keller give the offense? It seems like, you know, he's such an energetic guy that, have you been around many teammates that kind of can get people as fired up as he can?
No, and it's like after he breaks a 6-yard run, he gets up and it looks like he's just scored 3 touchdowns back to back to back. So he always gets up off the ground and bounces right up, and it's always good to see a running back do that, especially if he breaks one for 20 or 30 yards and then bounces back up and he's wanting coach to give him the ball back. So as an offensive lineman, that's who you really want to block for, somebody who has the energy like that, and I think it's huge for our team.
Last
I was going to ask
question.
that next. It seems like y'all have, you want to block no matter who's out there. You want to block for that person, but it seems like there might be just a tiny bit of extra juice sometimes to block for John. Is that fair to say?
I think JK really brings his own juice. So it might look like that, but I think the way JK runs and his little legs get to moving so fast, and I mean, I think it's just fun to watch, and you know that every time 4's back there, or 3 or 27, whoever's back there, it's always got a chance to break.
Do you like playing in a hostile environment?
Yeah, I do. I think it's fun to be able to go into a place. We talk about renting the stadium for 4 hours or however long it takes for us to get the win. But you know, if you can go into a stadium like this, like the Swamp, and you can make it go silent, I think that says a lot about your team.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
That's Brett.